What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. We got a lot of wrestling news to talk about today because some of it was cool, some of it was absolutely disturbing, and I'm going to give my thoughts on it today. But before we get to that, I want to remind you guys, of course, this being YouTube, YouTube really likes its algorithm, and what you can do to help out its hungry algorithm is by hitting the like button. If you hit the like button, it'll help other people know about this video. In fact, as an incentive for you guys, since most of you are guys and most of you are straight, to click on that like button, I will show this picture of Ty Conti for the next 5 seconds. Badunk-a-dunk. Let's get into some pleasant stuff before we get into the disturbing stuff. But Hook, Taz's son, made his debut on AEW Rampage this past Friday, and across the board, it seems like everybody was astounded by this guy who's apparently only had 6 workout matches before, but he's an athlete. You know, he's done judo, he's done lacrosse, he's got the chops, right? But more so than having the physical chops and being able to go in the ring, the guy seems to have personality pouring out of his ears. The guy came out looking like a star. His entrance music is badass. His demeanor is badass. That whole thing with his hair is very cool. The way he even got into the ring and kind of just stood in the corner with his back turned to his opponent, kind of looking like this, like he could not give 2 Fs about what Fuego del Sol was doing. I mean, the kid got presentation down, and then once the bell rang and he started hooking up, this guy's got the moves and he knows what he's doing. Now, we can't judge his storytelling prowess, of course, from a 3-minute match that was basically a squash match as his debut. But as far as him having the in-ring skills to be able to perform moves and do them crisply, I mean, he's a crisp performer in the vein of I'm not going to compare him to Bret Hart, obviously, but he's got that potential that maybe in 5 to 10 years, if he's still in the business, he probably will be as crisp as Bret Hart or as a Shawn Michaels or somebody like that. The whole package is just great, and Taz must be going through, like, I got, as a father, to see your son, you know, do what his son is doing, and to see the almost universal praise for his son in his debut match after just getting into the business. I mean, Hook, even the whole thing with he's all that in a bag of chips and him with the bag of chips, all that stuff is just really good. And when I saw him about 2 minutes into the match, I was like, this reminds me of like something I want to remember, like the first time I saw The Rock. Like the first time you see a lot of wrestlers for the first time and you're like, that guy's going to be a big deal. And that's what I'm thinking with Hook. If everything goes right with him, and I'm sure a lot of other people have said this, Hook is going to be a big deal. In fact, you might want to add another pillar to there along with the 5th one you had to add for Britt Baker. You might, about 6 months from now, we might be adding Hook in as a 6th pillar. In fact, AEW's got so many damn pillars now, it's ridiculous. But Hook is definitely something to be talked about in the future. It's definitely a person who's got everything going for him right now, and I just wish him all the best. The kid looks dynamite, pun intended. Now on to some less happy news. So there is this huge story over the weekend about Hannibal from Hannibal TV, which I think anybody who watches wrestling YouTube, we've seen a Hannibal TV video. He's done a lot of videos and interviews with old school wrestlers. He's a wrestler himself. Unfortunately, at an indie show over the weekend, he went into business for himself. I'm not using wrestling terms. The guy went psycho. That's the wrestling terms. He went psycho and went in and had his match against the wrestler formerly known as Carlito Colon. And the match went really weird. It ended really shortly, and people were kind of wondering what was going on. And after the match, there was a spot where Hannibal, who's going by a different alias as this masked wrestler, went and attacked the referee, which was supposed to be a spot. The referee was apparently supposed to blade, but for some reason Hannibal got upset and decided to take a spike. I kid you not. This person took a spike and thought it was a good idea to jam the spike repeatedly into this referee's head, but causing severe damage, cutting him open, making him bleed all over the place. His real-life girlfriend, who plays his manager, she was the only one that could kind of get him to get off of the guy. The other referees were in there. The guy who owns the promotion, it was a giant, huge mess of a story. Now, from what I understand from all the stuff that I have read on the various sites and from the Twitter feeds and from the referee himself, who, by the way, seems to be doing okay. He's in a lot of pain, but the pictures that he showed of what he had to go through and what he looks like now with all these stitches in his head from this guy driving a spike. I mean, but this isn't really a personal matter. This happened in the ring. And it's one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my 30-some-odd years of being a wrestling fan. This is disgusting. Fightful here. The off-controversial Devin Nicholson is in hot water. The 39-year-old wrestler and YouTube personality was a part of World Class Revolution's Christmas Star Wars show in Irving, Texas. They saw a planned spot go awry. By the way, World Class Championship Wrestling did used to have, I remember now, the Star Wars shows they used to have back in the early 80s. Nicholson, under a character named Blood Hunter, was planned to attack a referee. Nicholson took the spot way too far and left the referee, Lando Del Toro, requiring medical attention due to numerous lacerations. Nicholson had to be pulled off of Del Toro. Despite comments and speculation from people who had nothing to do with it, the situation was absolutely not a work or planned to happen the way it did. Nicholson briefly posted the ringside video on YouTube before deleting it, furthering those unfounded conspiracy theories. It's amazing to me, too, like, how sick people are. Like, in this short period of time since this happened, a whole bunch of people already concocted a conspiracy theory about it. It goes to prove one of the things I say about the internet now, that it's becoming flooded more and more with sick morons. But this, I'm sorry, there's no apology. I mean, this is not suspecting somebody of doing something, even though this guy, Hannibal, also has a lot of allegations against him of sexual harassment and assault and everything else, apparently, in the past. But those are all allegations. This is right in front of God and the sun and everything that this dude did this. And I'm sorry, I don't care if anybody says anything, and I'm not reporting the news here. I'm shooting. I'm giving my opinion of this thing. No, man, nah. Get rid of this dude, man. I've had some videos where I've referenced Hannibal TV before. That will never happen again. I've never used any quotes from any of his videos. You can just tell I'm just like, this bothers me. This bothers me because I feel bad for the referee, obviously. I feel bad for the fans who had to witness that. I feel bad for the industry that's already got a bad name to it. And I feel bad for the fact that we got sick people out here trying to make excuses for this kind of bullshit, essentially. So, screw it. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it anymore. That's the worst thing I've ever seen in wrestling. I'm sorry. That's just I know there's been a lot of crappy shit in wrestling, but this wasn't an accident. This wasn't, somebody overdosing or somebody getting a little too cute or somebody blowing a spot. This dude came to the show effed up and then started stabbing a guy, a defenseless, unconscious guy in the head with a spike. There's a little bit of sad news from this past weekend that is bittersweet, actually, is the Ring of Honor Final Battle pay-per-view, which had a lot of surprises on it. We got to see the artist formerly known as Braun Strowman, now known as Titan, make his debut in ROH, which is weird because it may be their last show. Dina Purrazzo showed up. She challenged the current Ring of Honor Women's Champion to a match. We had FTR showing up. They didn't take out, but they got into a really wild brawl with the Briscoe brothers after the Briscoes set a record. I think they set a record for winning multiple, 12-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. I could be wrong about that. But the thing for me on the show that was really special was the fact that the very last Ring of Honor show was between two brothers. I had to mention it, sorry. But between two brothers, Jay Lethal and Jonathan Gresham for the Ring of Honor Championship. Of course, Bandito, due to the pandemic and him coming down with the illness. I gotta be careful when you say that word on YouTube sometimes. But he had to pull out of the show because he couldn't perform, obviously, with him being ill. So Jay Lethal stepped in. It was a wonderful showing. It wasn't the greatest match ever. I think that match went to the Dragon Lee match earlier in the night. But this was a fantastic outing. It had the typical Ring of Honor stuff. Some of the matches were kind of crap, and some of the matches were excellent. And as a way to sign off of Ring of Honor with people like Adam Cole and the Young Bucks and CM Punk and Bryan Danielson all sending in video messages about their time in Ring of Honor. It's unfortunate that this is another casualty of the fact that something a lot larger story in the wrestling community, that wrestling is the actual actual performance of wrestling in a ring has been so not dumbed down. It's been so dismissed by the world's largest wrestling corporation on purpose, so that what they do can be the prominent thing, because they have all the advertising and they've always had great advertising and marketing, but they've also advertised and marketed the rest of the wrestling industry into this state. And the rest of the wrestling industry is also at fault for some of this, of just not being able to find great ways to promote themselves and to market their businesses. Unfortunately, Ring of Honor is stepping away, supposedly until April. We'll see in April whether or not they come back. But if this was the end of Ring of Honor, it was a great ending to a company that's been around for, 20 years plus now, based right here in my hometown of Baltimore, Maryland. I've passed the Sinclair building many times on off of Timonium Road, up at 83. So it was it's sad, it's bittersweet, but I do think there's a little glimmer of hope. But everything can't be hinging upon Tony Khan and AEW, that they are kind of responsible for kind of being the way to bring people into these other wrestling organizations. I mean, they've done a lot already, with teaming up with Impact for a while, teaming up with AAA, teaming up with New Japan, now here teaming up with Ring of Honor by sending a couple of their guys to fill in some spots there and to add some extra intrigue to the show. But there's a lot that could be done in the future of wrestling. This is a topic for another time, what the pro wrestling world, not the sports entertainment world, that is WWE, but what the pro wrestling world can do to kind of, recover from COVID, because a lot of this also has to do with COVID. Ring of Honor was doing okay. We'll see come April what happens with Ring of Honor, but it was a fun show. I definitely suggest you guys watching it. I couldn't be there in attendance because I had other obligations. I really wanted to be there because it's a hometown promotion, but unfortunately couldn't be there on this weekend, so I did watch it earlier today. But that's the news for today. The good, the bad, and the really, really ugly. But I want to know what you guys think about these topics. What do you think about Hook's debut? Do you think he's going to be a major star in the future? What do you think about this insanity with Hannibal? And what do you think about the possible end of Ring of Honor? Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. And again, if you like this video, please sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell, and let other people know about this video. And we also have my Let's Plays on the gaming stream that you can check out now at Rantin Review Gaming. So check that out as well, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day. That one. Oh! Trying to get back in her mouth? Ugh. Juicy.